Good evening. Today is a regular scheduled meeting of the Kettering City Council. Today's date is June the 24th. If you would, stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please pray with me. As we gather to serve our community, may we be guided by wisdom, compassion, and integrity. Let our discussions be fair, our decisions be just, and our actions united in purpose. May we always strive to foster understanding, collaboration, and progress for the good of all. Amen. I want to thank Mike Soproni and Evan Russell in the back. They're taking care of us as our TV operators tonight. Mayor Lerner and Ms. Duvall have excused absences for this evening. Mr. Sullivan, would you like to approve the minutes?
I would. Your Honor, I have reviewed the council meeting and workshop minutes from May 27th, 2025. Also, the council workshop minutes from June 10th, 2025. I find them in order and I move for approval.
Second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes. Tonight, how exciting. I'm very excited. We are honored that you're allowing us to be here, a part of this great presentation of our newest officers. So, Chief, take it away.
Thank you, Vice Mayor and Council. It is my privilege to introduce to you and to swear in the two newest police officers for the Kettering Police Department. First, I'd like to ask Jacob Himmelgarn to come forward. Jacob is here tonight with his wife, Emily, his parents, Robert and Kristen, his father and mother-in-law, John and Amy, and his grandparents, Wayne and Pamela. I'm going to ask Jacob's wife, Emily, to step down at this time as well. Jacob graduated from Miami University with a degree in criminal justice. He has spent the last 8 years at the Dayton Police Department, where he served as a patrol officer, a field training officer, a detective, and a sergeant. I'd also like to welcome and introduce to you Charles Downs. Charles is here today with his wife, Brianna, his parents, Brent and Tracy, his brothers, Isaac and John, and his grandparents, John and Cassandra. At this time, I'd like to ask Charles's wife to step down as well, please. Charles is a 2021 graduate of Fairmont High School. After graduation, he enlisted in the Ohio Army National Guard as an infantry soldier. Charles was deployed to the Middle East in 2022 and 2023. Upon returning home, he attended the Sinclair Police Academy and graduated in November of 2024. Charles, welcome. At this time, Vice Mayor, I'm going to read the oath and have these gentlemen take it.
Excellent.
So step over here, please. On the face of the crowd.
About face.
Have you raise your right hands, please, and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution. And laws of the United States of America. The Constitution. And the laws of the state of Ohio. And the laws and ordinances. Of the city of Kettering, Ohio. And I will discharge the duties. Of the office of patrol officer. To which I have been appointed. To the best of my ability. At this time, I'm going to ask both the wives to come up, please, and we're going to have them do the pinning of the badges. Vice Mayor, as you can see, 2 fine additions that we've added to the Kettering Police Department. We're very excited to have them here today. We are going to step outside now with family and friends to get some pictures, if you don't mind. Thank you for having us.
So we're going to tell you a little secret. If you whisper, we can hear you. So please gently go downstairs very quietly. Thank you. We're honored to have you guys. Thank you. Thank you for letting us be a part of this great day. Thank you. Very much. I hope the citizens that watch this on TV enjoy that as well, because I think in the olden days we didn't necessarily get to always participate when we had the swearing-ins, and it's good to see the new officers come on, whether they're firemen or whether they're policemen. So what a great time. So I'm going to look around. Good, we got Kai. So today we do have a public hearing, okay? And I'm going to be reading from a little script, so hang in there with me. Tonight we have a public hearing on the Prue Woods Tax Increment Financing Incentive District. First, we're going to have city staff make a presentation. After that presentation, we'll take comments regarding the presentation from those persons who are present tonight and wish to be heard. Now I will open the public hearing. So Kai is working on getting his presentation up, it looks like. Here we go.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, members of council, those in attendance that don't know, my name is Kettering. I'm the Economic Development Manager for the City of Kettering, and I will be giving the presentation for this evening's public hearing. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and in regards to approval of TIF amendments to the incentive district.
Kai, you need to, can't hear him?
Is it green?
Look, there it is. Can everyone hear me okay?
Okay.
Good to go. All right, so while we work to get the presentation up, I'll just kind of go over a brief overview of the presentation, what this public hearing is about. We'll talk about the brief history of the Prue Woods TIF Incentive District, exactly what a TIF is, and the proposed amendment to the Prue Woods TIF District. Also, the qualifying public improvements, the benefits of extending the exemption term of the TIF, and then we'll have some time for questions. That's fine. As we continue to work, I'll just kind of go over the history of the original Prue Woods TIF Incentive District. Back on June 9th of 2015, City Council approved an economic development plan for the original Prue Woods Incentive District by ordinance number 4248-15. That original plan was outlined for 38 lot residential development on about 8.4 acres known as Prue Woods. The tax increment financing tool was used to allow payments in lieu of taxes to be collected in the incentive district to fund public infrastructure improvements that were necessary to support a residential development. At the time of that initial economic development plan and the preceding legislation that passed, that TIF was only going to be in place for 10 years, but the Ohio Revised Code allows the TIF to be up to 30 years. So part of the amendments for tonight's hearing is to approve legislation going forth and extending that TIF an additional 20 years. And then in a brief moment, we'll go over some of the benefits to that TIF and how the city will benefit from that. Tax increment financing, or more commonly known as a TIF, is a public financing mechanism used to spur economic development and revitalize specific areas. The way that is done is payments are used payments in lieu of taxes are used, and those payments go to fund public infrastructure or other incentives throughout the district.
find it.
You'll have to continue, I'm sorry.
Not a problem, not a problem. This image here, I'll try to show here. It's basically your basic TIF model. So the way a TIF works, imagine that you have a graph axis where you have a y-axis that goes vertically and an x-axis that goes horizontally. The y-axis, or the vertical axis, is going to represent the assessed value of the property within the incentive district. The x-axis is going to represent time. So for this picture, we'll imagine that this represents a 30-year period. At the beginning of the creation of the TIF district, or the starting of the clock, is like what we like to call it, the county will assess that property, and that will become the baseline assessment for the duration of the TIF. Now, as the years go by and the tax increment or the tax value of that property goes up, the county is going to essentially continue to tax the city at that baseline, allowing us to capture that increased tax value. So that would be captured in this gray triangle area right here. So as the value of that property goes up, the city gets to hold on to the increased value and use that, and that is when turn funds the public infrastructure to support the incentive district. So legislation for this TIF actually began back in March of this calendar year. On March 11th, there was a first reading of the Economic Development Plan, and then it was later approved at the March 25th City Council meeting. On May 24th, public notices were sent to Montgomery County Board of Commissioners, Kettering City Schools, as well as any property owners within the incentive district. Tonight's June 24th meeting conducts the public hearing, which in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code is taking place 30 days before this legislation can officially be adopted. If everything moves according to plan, this will go into its second reading and final adoption on August 26th. So what are the exact benefits of extending the term of this tax increment financing district? The original, as I mentioned, the original TIF order was only for 10 years, and then on March 25th, we approved the Economic Development Plan, which extended the term from 10 years to 30 years, and it also improved an additional qualifying public infrastructure improvements. I think it's important to note that in years 11 through 30, this TIF will be known as what's called a non-school TIF, meaning Kettering City School District will receive all amounts of property taxes that they would receive absent the TIF. So in the current structure with the current 10-year TIF, the Kettering City Schools, they are not receiving the property tax that would be received absent the TIF. However, after consulting our outside counsel, it was determined that years 11 through 30 will be a non-school TIF. So that's a benefit to the school district. Qualifying public infrastructure improvements, the Kettering Rec Center, it served as the most immediate and direct accessible recreational opportunity for the residents within the district. So it's very important that any road infrastructure or any amenities related to that area are either repaired or improved or kept up to continue to support the district. Also, Dorothy Lane, West Dorothy Lane functions as the primary east-west traffic artery through the city. So ensuring Dorothy Lane and all public infrastructure associated with West Dorothy Lane, whether public right-of-way or are conditioned and improved through Woodman Drive and Scruton County Road. What we have here is would be the new TIF district and boundary. So if you see, the actual TIF district has not changed because, there we go.
Amazing.
Nice, thank you. What we have is the new tax incentive district boundary and overlay. What you see in purple is the actual Prue Woods TIF district, and then that blue square that you see is known as the TIF overlay. What that basically means is that all public infrastructure within that area is the district, and that's where any of the funds collected from the TIF will be going to support that area there. Next slide, please.
Kai, could I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
It cuts through the middle of some properties. How does that work? I'm not.
So the outside boundary is actually, it's allowed to cut through boundaries because according to the Ohio Revised Code, that TIF district and overlay cannot be more than 300 square acres. So we draw that overlay just to kind of show that the TIF district is within the 300 square acres. Now, if one of those, so the purple parcels, if you will, now if the TIF district was cutting through one of those parcels, what essentially would happen is when the property owner received the public notice of the TIF notification, they would have the option whether or not they would want to be included in the TIF district. However, that would not apply in this case because every parcel within the actual TIF district is fully enclosed. So that's a great question, sir. Appreciate that. Next slide, please. All right, so we last left off, we were talking about some of the benefits of extending the term of this TIF district. Extending the term of this TIF district from 10 to 30 years will allow the city to continue collecting payments in lieu of taxes collected from the incentive district to fund public infrastructure. We estimate that over the course of the next 20 years, it'll be approximately $1.2 million based on 2023 values and rates. Additionally, the city will continue to enhance the safety and functionality of the community's roadway systems, which play a vital role in the growth and preservation of the community. Finally, extending the exemption period will aid in providing access to the Kettering Recreation Complex and thorough traffic throughout the surrounding incentive district. Next slide, please. So it's kind of going over the legislation calendar again. So tonight, June 24th marks the public hearing, and as I previously mentioned, the first reading of the TIF ordinance will take place August 12th, with the second reading and final adoption to take place on August 26th. Next slide, please. Okay. At this time, if there are any additional questions.
Anyone have any questions up here? Yep.
The homeowners in the district will see no change upon if this is chosen to be adopted and extended to 30 years, this wouldn't change tax bills, processes, or anything for the homeowner, correct?
Correct, sir. So essentially what will happen is that they will still continue to get their property tax notice from the county. What happens once they pay those property taxes? So essentially the county collects the property taxes, and there's 7 taxing jurisdictions that money gets divided up to. What basically happens is once the TIF is extended, the city of Kettering will continue to be able to withhold the amounts that the county would otherwise hold. So to answer your question, no, the property owners are going to see no increase in property taxes or anything change.
All right, thank you.
Sir.
Good question. Any other questions? Kai, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
So now, is there anyone out in our audience who wishes to speak before council about the proposed tax increment financing incentive district? Okay. You are limited to 5 minutes, so we'll hit a little timer when you're ready to start. If you would say your name and your address, and then go ahead and address us.
Perfect. Are you ready?
You're ready.
All right, Mark Martin. I'm at 2724 East Millstone Drive here in Kettering, Ohio. I'm here not on behalf of the Kettering City School District because I am the Kettering School Board's board president, but I am the HOA president for Prue Woods. So my questions center on, I know that, great question by Mr. Seta, Brian, and that there would be no changes for the owners, but one of our questions, or several of our questions, are what enhancements or benefits do we see as owners in the district, in the community, because currently we're responsible for the roads. It's considered private thoroughfare, not the Prue Woods Road leading up to the rec center, but the actual road that connects the east and west side. So we have to, as an HOA, cover that expense based on the dues that are collected. So while it's an 11-year, from years 11 through 30, it will be no changes for what we're paying, but what benefits will the residents actually see from the infrastructure enhancements that are going to take place? So that's a question that we would like to understand. Also, looking at snow clearing, we also responsible for covering that. But based on the taxes, I'm not certain how many other residents or communities have to pick up that cost based on, being owners within a jurisdiction. Trying to think what else. I think that might be it. So I appreciate your time, but again, I just wanted to reference that I'm not here representing the school board because I do understand that the school board actually sees the benefit from this change. So I do commend you for that. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Others?
Do you want to answer this?
I don't know that, when we're in the middle of a hearing, we take that under deliberation and then share it later. It's typically what's happened, unless, I'm looking at you, Matt.
It's up to you. Be glad to answer whenever
Sure.
whenever you're prepared.
If you haven't, if you have a quick answer.
So I need, Mr. Martin, could you clarify your second question?
About snow clearing, because they are paying to
okay.
have their
Snow clearing.
roads cleared.
So currently, in the community, we have to contract out with the private organizations who
That's
have
different.
that loop from the two roads connecting east and west.
Gotcha.
Plowed.
Could you come up to the microphone, please?
Currently, the two halves, I don't have the picture, but from the
Pink.
purple area that
Two
was in
purple
your
areas.
packet, the two purple areas, the roads that are encased within the purple zone, we have to currently contract with a private institution or private organization to have that area plowed. So my ask is, what's different? Why should based on this change with the TIF, could we see the benefits to where the community has that picked up as part of the development enhancement, infrastructure upkeep? So plowing and snowing, we have to cover. Also, resurfacing of the roads, we have to pick that up as well and put that into our HOA funds and dues.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, thank you.
So if I'm understanding the questions, the first question is in what way does the Prue Woods subdivision benefit from the extension of the tax increment finance district? And then alternatively, or the second question is more of a question of what type of service would that benefit enable the neighborhood, the district itself. So in this particular instance, the easiest way that I can answer the first question is what is the benefit thereto. So first of all, I'm going to lay this in the context of there are effectively two types of tax increment financing models. There's one in which the money is actively collected and actively spent, and then there is the kind where the money is collected and held, and then after a certain amount of dollars accumulate over time, the monies are then reinvested into some type of capital project. As we foresee this particular district, it would be more of the latter. So we're going to collect the money and we're going to hold on to that money for an extended period of time, okay? And then we're going to ask council at some point to spend that on a capital project in the future. The particular benefit in this way is the public infrastructure in which you as residents of the Prue Woods subdivision access your subdivision. So as you noted in your comments, this is a blending of both public infrastructure and private infrastructure. And effectively, you cannot access your private infrastructure without the benefit of the public infrastructure. So if Prue Woods Drive, which abuts Dorothy Lane, were not public, you would have a private driveway or private entrance. right? So if not for. So in this instance, what we believe is the benefit. So that answers the first question in my mind, right? So the way that we see this is that ensuring that there are resources available to support the public infrastructure which you utilize to access your private subdivision is how you benefit from the existence of this tax increment finance district. So moving to the second question, how does that directly benefit you, or how does that impact you in what you experience as a resident? In this particular instance, we would look at this as an opportunity to have the resources available when the time comes to be able to repave and maintenance Prue Woods Drive, the public street from which you access your subdivision. If you look at the city's overall plan on how we manage roads, public thoroughfare, what we do is we regularly have our public infrastructure, public streets inspected by an outside firm. That firm rates those streets in the order of their degradation, and the streets that have degraded the highest go to the top of the list, and then we try to marry those streets with the resources available. In this particular instance, if Prue Woods Drive is the recommended and selected public infrastructure 25 years from now, those funds are available and dedicated only for Prue Woods Drive. And it doesn't matter what the rating classification of Prue Woods Drive is at that point in time. If the resources are available, they can only be dedicated to a limited number of public improvements. So in this instance, you would have monies, taxpayer dollars, your dollars, that are set in a pot that could then be utilized to fund the improvement of Prue Woods Drive, absent a regular process. You would not have to wait in line. You would not have to be concerned with the degradation scale that the rest of the community uses based on the general collection of property and income tax dollars. So that is an example of how this directly benefits you, although it is happening on public property and it affects public infrastructure, allows you to continue to utilize your private community and your private infrastructure in the way that is most beneficial to you in your neighborhood.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, and I'll add, I obviously wasn't here when we did the Prue Woods development, but a decision was made to allow the development to occur with private drives as opposed to public roads off of the main Prue Woods Drive. That typically, in my experience, is because there is not either room, meaning the density of development can't be accommodated, meeting the public street standards, or the developer doesn't want to bear the cost. So those roads were not built to public street standards, therefore not accepted for maintenance by the city, and the homeowners association became obligated to maintain those rights of way. To directly answer the second two questions, I would not anticipate that we would use these TIF dollars to meet a private obligation of maintenance of that roadway, either of the private roadways, either repavement or what I would call the seasonal maintenance. But we would look to what Mr. Chakowski said is identify improvements over time when the funds accumulate to do something of significance to benefit the area around you with good quality amenities. So I don't know whether that will be pavement or bike trail or a better community center. But hopefully, when we accumulate enough funds to do a decent capital project, we'll be able to point it to you and say, we're doing something that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do in your neighborhood as a result of these funds.
Snow removal? He asked about snow removal, just.
Yeah, no, I would not anticipate that we would be able to use the TIF
For
funds.
snow, okay.
The way the legislation's written is it accrues to a public benefit and private streets are a private benefit. I know that sounds weird.
Are there others that would like to address? Come on up. You have 5 minutes. State your name and your address and your concern.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bernie McSay. I'm at 2720 East Millstone in Prue Woods. My question is with the redrawing of the TIF itself, are there any plans for the undeveloped area that you've extended out into this area? Plus, what happens with the taxes that we actually have for the undeveloped areas, the common areas within this area that we pay taxes on? How is that utilized in a better way? And that's my only questions.
So, in this particular instance, as to talk about the box. The box itself is used to determine what properties are within the tax increment finance district without an ability to, that lack an ability to opt out of the TIF district, and those properties that have an ability to opt out. So that's the purpose of the box, and the box, the overlay, and that is a requirement of the state statute. It is the legislative determination of City Council that ultimately determines what infrastructure benefits the TIF district. Okay, so in this particular instance, the example we've used in tonight's conversation has been Prue Woods Drive, because that specifically runs through the subdivision. Another example might be, for instance, Dorothy Lane. Right? So without Dorothy Lane, you cannot access Prue Woods Drive. So now I'll go one further, as if you go all the way down to Glengarry Drive. Council could make the legislative determination, and it would be staff's responsibility to provide valid reasons why, but council could make the determination that improvements to the end of Glengarry Drive actually benefit the district, or benefit the Prue Woods neighborhood, because Glengarry is effectively at the north end of the parking lot. That's your other public access point, if you will, to get out from your subdivision, right? So it's an alternative point. So council could make that determination, and if they did, well then, unless challenged by members of the community, by residents, then that would stand as a valid benefit to the district, and the money could be spent there. So the box is simply a representative, visual representative of determining who can opt into the or opt out of the TIF, and who is required to participate in the TIF. That is the box. As the common area, the taxes that would be paid by the common area would be collected in the TIF district, just like any of the homes, the properties on which homes are developed, improvements are on. So in the instance of the common area will increase in value in small increments, 2% one tax cycle, 3%, the following tax cycle. Those small increments are what would be captured and placed into the TIF district, into the TIF fund, for use on public infrastructure later. But just like any of the improved properties, any of the properties that have homes on them, there are restrictions on obviously where those dollars can be spent, and how those dollars have to benefit the district. So I hope that answers your question. Sure.
Others? Are there others who would like to speak? Come on down. Name and address. 5 minutes.
My name is Beth McStay, and I live at 2720 East Millstone. The question I have is, so this TIF was put in place for 10 years, and then you want to extend it 20 more years, but what happens after the 20 years? And then, if I'm understanding right, just trying to clarify, these are basically all the taxes in our neighborhood are being collected and put into this TIF, because there's no other houses there, right? Except there's some public property that butts up that's a recreational area. And so it feels like we have it's kind of like our money, and I'm assuming that anytime you would want to vote on how to use that, that would behoove us as a group to come in and figure out what you're doing to make sure it gets used to the best advantage of our neighborhood, right? Just like you would do with your taxes, because for us, we want to repave our streets, which is very expensive, and we want our streets plowed, which is, again, another expense that we as a community would like to see happen. I get that you have rules about how the streets weren't constructed, which we didn't participate in, but I'm now understanding much more fully. So anyway, if you could explain to me what happens in 10 years, like 20, I mean, what happens in 20 more years, and I don't see, I mean, we have to pay taxes, so it has to go towards something, but it's not going towards things that I feel most important about. But anyway, thank you.
Let's see here. Yeah. So the way that the tax increment finance legislation is structured at the state level is these districts can last no more than 30 years in total, okay? So there is an ability, as I said, to extend it for this additional 20 years. Sometime during that period, during that 20-year period, this final 20-year period, City Council would identify a project or projects, and the dollars would be expended in accordance with those projects. Projects of that size would be voted on and approved by City Council. So if you are an involved and engaged citizen and you watch the council agenda as it's published, you would see at some point in time in the future, you would see legislation presented to council about the utilization of those dollars, and you could come and speak and address council at that point in time regarding that project. If there are any dollars left at the end of that project, whether or not it's 50 cents or $500,000, the statute requires that if the city has not allocated the money to a project, that the dollars are moved from the tax increment finance fund, the special holding fund for your dollars, that money is then moved from the holding fund into the general fund to be spent on matters of general concern to City Council. So those dollars stay here with the city in some capacity, whether or not specifically through the TIF fund that already exists as part of this legislation, or whether or not any remaining funds are moved into the general fund for general purpose spending by the city. Does that answer your question, ma'am? Okay, sure.
Are there others? Seeing no movement, this hearing is now closed. We will be taking this under advisement and will consider this legislation regarding this matter sometime in the June timeframe. So we're going to go back to the agenda, but I will say thank you very much for coming, asking your questions. For those of us sitting up here, you've asked some very good questions. There was a lot of squirrels running around in my mind. We'll be talking about it. Okay? Thank you so much for coming. If you choose to leave, remember, we hear you if you whisper. Just know that. Okay, right now, we're going to talk about comments on legislation. What else we have on the agenda? Anyone wishing to speak before council with comments on new legislation about the legislation, specifically on tonight's agenda, may do so at this time. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Speakers must state their name and address, and comments should be addressed to council. If you have any comments that are not about legislation on tonight's agenda, there's an opportunity even later in our meeting for that. So with that, do we have anyone that has comments about legislation? I see no movement. So go ahead, Mr. Sullivan, let's kick this off.
All righty. Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for the repair and renovation of asphalt paths at Delco Park. The estimated cost and the amount budgeted is $30,000. This is requested by the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Department, and I move for approval.
Second?
Mr. Greason.
I think Mr. Sullivan did a good job describing it. We're doing some repairs to the asphalt path at Delco. Most of it's resurfacing, some radius improvements, a little widening in some areas, and a little bit of an extension, but obviously with $30,000, we're going to make our paths as safe and accessible as possible.
Any questions? Please call the roll.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Vice Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for audiovisual equipment upgrades at Kettering Government Center. The cost for this is $50,000, and this is being requested by the Public Service Department. I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yeah, so the conference rooms, AV systems are over 12 years old, and what we're experiencing is they cannot connect to some of today's electronic devices. Some of the screens have become blurry and difficult to see by people who are using them or maybe in the audience in some cases. And so this is a project that we have anticipated planning for an upcoming budget cycle, but we believe needs to occur sooner rather than later. So this will provide consistent equipment for the 4 conference rooms that staff and visitors to the north and south building here in the government center use most frequently. The estimated cost is $50,000 for these 4 rooms.
Any questions? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept a brownfield remediation grant from the Ohio Department of Development. Estimated total cost is $213,792. Amount budgeted is $59,335, and it looks like between grants and local matches, we account for the total, and this is requested by the engineering department. I do move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. These grant funds will be used to help pay for the cost of remediation activities for the former Cheerheart Cleaners property that is located at 2659 Patterson Road. We'll encumber the grant funds through a supplemental appropriation here in 2025, and then we may apply for additional grant funds as might be warranted for this property. The local match that Councilmember Scott referenced is going to be accomplished through a combination of community development block grant funds and the Monsanto settlement funds. That'll be our local match. And as he articulated, it's a $213,792 project. The local match is $59,335. Later on in the agenda, it'll be part of our supplemental appropriation as well. Be glad to answer any questions.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for infrastructure improvements for Building 46 in the Kettering Business Park. The estimated cost of this project is $1,025,000, the same as the amount budgeted. It's requested by Public Service Department, and I move for its approval.
Second.
Mr. Shkowski.
Thank you, ma'am. For those who are not aware, regularly the City of Kettering participates in the Dayton Development Coalition's Priority Development and Advocacy Committee. rankings for projects within the region for support of congressionally directed or state capital funding. Previously, the city had submitted an application for Building 46 for state capital funding, and thanks to the efforts of Representative White, we were able to secure $1.25 million. Those funds so far have been used to remediate asbestos within the building, and that was completed in the end of 2024. We are currently looking to do water line work, which will be contracted later this year with some of these similar funds. Additional portions of these monies will be utilized to also service the fire suppression line, as well as make lighting improvements and air exchange system upgrades throughout the facility. We would ask that council adopt this legislation at this time. Happy to answer any questions or concerns.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lehner?
How about
Vice Mayor
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Have it. Sorry about that.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for the replacement of 3 disaster siren alert stations within the city limits. The estimated amount and the amount budgeted is $80,000. This is requested by the Public Service Department, and I move for approval.
Second?
Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. This was planned for in our capital improvement program. The stations are original from 1998, and it's becoming difficult to find parts to repair them. The remaining sirens will be replaced in 2027 and 2029, so that's part of our 5-year capital plan. And as we do this, parts from each of the replacement will be kept for maintenance of the remaining original sirens until they're all 9 of them are fully replaced. And so we think this is important to have our tornado sirens functional and operating.
Yes, it is. Any issues, questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for the repair of the apparatus bay doors at various fire stations within the city. The estimated cost for this and amount budgeted is $40,000 and is being requested by the Public Services Department. I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. This is a 2-year project, and this is the final year where we've been addressing individual stations where weather and salt have deteriorated the lower portion of some of the bay doors, causing the need for repair to prevent further damage. So we're removing existing rust, sealing, painting, and adding epoxy coating to prevent further issues. It's about a $40,000 repair program this year, and hopefully, and I believe, Chief, this will wrap it up. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for replacement of light pole heads for the north lot at Kettering Recreational Center. Estimated cost $40,000. That is the amount budgeted and is requested by the Public Service Department. I do move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yes, so we are, yes, Your Honor, sorry.
You're good.
We are replacing parking lot light pole heads in the north lot at the Kettering Recreation Center. The lights, existing lights, original, are rather dim and expensive to maintain, so we're replacing them with LED light heads for added visibility, which will improve safety for our patrons and staff, and of course the LEDs will also be more energy efficient. There's another $40,000 allocation from our capital improvement program, and be glad to answer any questions you have about it.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing authorizing execution and delivery of a development agreement with Vision Acquisition LLC to provide for construction of a multi-unit residential development in Miami Valley Research Park. This is brought to us tonight by the city manager's office, and I move for its approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yes, I'm going to have Mr. Chakowski handle this.
Thank you, sir. Madam Mayor, Madam Deputy Mayor, and members of council, this particular document addresses the Vision Acquisitions LLC acquisition of 28.5 acres at the intersection of Research Boulevard and County Line Road, where they intend to construct 264 market-rate apartments worth more than $32 million in taxable value. The city has determined that the construction of these housing units would benefit the city by addressing the demand for new housing options, as well as support business retention and growth in the Miami Valley Research Park. The development agreement provides the terms and conditions under which the city will provide incentives to Vision Acquisitions LLC in furtherance of the project. In addition to the benefits provided to Vision Acquisition LLC, the city over the term of this particular agreement will net just over $4 million for the purposes of public infrastructure improvements that directly benefit that district. Happy to answer any questions or concerns that council may have regarding this particular measure. We would ask for your adoption this evening.
No questions. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to contract with Pinpoint Behavioral Health Solutions, LLC, for mental health checkup and related services for the police and fire departments. The estimated cost is $33,900. The amount budgeted is $15,000. This is requested by the fire department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. You'll note there's an estimated cost that's higher than the budget. We've expanded this to include the police and fire. Funds are coming from the Firefighter Memorial Fund in the form of $18,900 and $15,000 from the Law Enforcement Fund. As you know, the work performed by our fire and police departments and our dispatch personnel is demanding and stressful, and in some cases puts them at risk both physically and mentally. We have mental health of our workforce as a priority, and as part of this program, and are developing this mental health checkup program with the goal of promoting prevention, education, and mental health support for our first responders. I want to invite the chiefs to add anything that they would like, and be glad to answer any additional questions you may have.
Pinpoint Behavioral is a specialist. It's clinician-based services that specialize in public service. All of their staff are former or current public safety members or former military members. They do a neck up from the checkup is their kind of punchline. This is in the City of Kettering Fire Department and the City of Kettering Police Department to take care of our own and our strategic plan. So we're following through with that by taking care of our members with this initiative. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I think both the city manager and the chief said it very well. For way too long, we've ignored the mental health of our employees, and this is one step for us to start doing better at that. And I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Looks like we have no questions. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Vice Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing acceptance of a donation from the Dorwood Optimist Club. This is a $500 donation, and it is going towards the police department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
This is for the Kettering Middle School Fishing Club, which provides fishing opportunities for students at KMS, and it will provide funding for supplies for the program, which is really cool.
That is cool. Any questions? All right, call the roll.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for a community housing improvement program grant from the Ohio Development Services Agency. This is requested by the Planning and Development Department. I do move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Chakowski.
Thank you, ma'am. This particular legislation, as indicated, allows the city to make application to the Community Housing Improvement Program, commonly known as CHIP. The city is a regular applicant and recipient to this program, and, the city is a regular applicant to this program and a regular recipient of funds from this program. Most recently, the city received $250,000 in 2004 to rehabilitate 5 owner-occupied homes. Funds from the program can be used for a variety of activities, including deferred loans for home repairs for low-income homeowners, covering issues like roofs, electrical systems, plumbing, and accessory improvements and accessibility improvements. Additionally, emergency home repairs, handicap accessibility, and lead-based paint abatement are also subject to funding through this program, and home buyers assistance, which allow for down payment assistance and rehabilitation funds for qualifying households when purchasing homes. We would ask that council adopt this legislation this evening so that an application may be made in a timely manner. Happy to answer any questions.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution to make supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Kettering, State of Ohio, during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025.
Brian, I think you're off one.
Am I on the wrong one?
I think
Oh, I was so excited.
it's the updated one.
Let me just do the grant.
Authorize the city manager
Here,
to
send this
contact
to
with Blake Carter's.
I don't have that.
Carter's.
Yeah, I've got it.
Thank you. Yesterday's agenda.
Well,
Your Honor, I'd like to start over.
I've done
changed.
that. I've done that.
And I would like to, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to contract with Blade Cutters, Inc. for abatement of the nuisance at 2716 Mini Court. The estimated cost is up to $50,000. This is a request by the Planning and Development Department, and I move for its approval.
Second.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chakowski.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. 2716 Mini Court recently experienced a situation which resulted in the creation of severe unsafe conditions on that property, which now pose a threat to the public health, safety, and well-being. Given the deteriorated condition of the structure as we know it today and the safety risk to the neighbors, as well as the first responders, it is necessary to proceed with an expedited demolition. Upon the passage of this particular legislation, we have scheduled the necessary raising of the principal structure and removal of associated materials for the 2nd of July. We would ask that council adopt this matter, this piece of legislation this evening. Thank you.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution to make supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the City of Kettering, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025. The estimated cost is $295,757 in net transfers. The amount budgeted is $0, and this is requested by the Finance Department. I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. These are many of the appropriations for many of the items you discussed this evening. A couple of additions. First, there's the $500 for the fishing club. There is also a $500 Juneteenth sponsorship from where the Oakwood Inclusion Coalition supported the Unity in the Community South Dayton Juneteenth spoken word event. The event's occurred, but we need to accept the funds. The supplemental appropriation of $18,900 for the firefighter Kettering Memorial Fund for the Pinpoint Behavioral Health Solutions. That $18,900 is a component part of the $33,900 for the mental health checkup program. There's a supplemental appropriation for the Brownfield Remediation Grant from the Ohio Department of Development that we discussed earlier. Again, that's the Cheerheart Cleaners property. And there's a required local match, I would note again. There is a $50,000 supplemental appropriation for the Government Center Conference Room AV audiovisual system improvements that we discussed earlier. Sorry for the acronym there. Then additionally, there is a supplemental appropriation of $71,400 for repairs to the chilled water system at the municipal court building. Now, you already adopted legislation on April 25th to enter into contract with a service provider to perform those repairs. This is a transfer from the general fund to the capital improvement fund for the amount to pay that. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Suddick?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisher?
Yes. We have no ordinances on first reading. And for certificates and petitions, Ms. Haslett?
Your Honor, we have no certificates or petitions this evening.
Mr. Greason, take it away on your community report.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll be brief. We just want to highlight a few things that we regularly highlight because they're important in our community. One is block parties. Block parties are a terrific way to meet or get acquainted with your neighbors and build a sense of neighborhood pride and celebrate holidays. And so if you're interested in a block party, you can request that form by contacting the engineering department or visiting the city's website. The next thing I'd like to highlight there is still an opportunity to take a minute and nominate a neighbor, a business, or yourself, or any Kettering resident that you think is deserving of the Neighborhood Pride Award. You can do that by emailing our volunteer administrator, Lindsay Curry. You can find her information on our website. The deadline for that is August 1st. There will also be a submission form included in the summer edition of Contact with Kettering. July 4th is coming, Friday, July 4th, 6 to 10 p.m. We're going to have fireworks, bounce houses, food trucks, entertainment with roaming performers, and a DJ pumping music throughout our park as we celebrate our nation's birthday and Kettering's incomparable Go Forth event. We encourage all of our residents to come join us for what we think is the best celebration in the Miami Valley. Because we'll all be celebrating July 4th and our nation's independence, administrative offices will be closed on Friday, July 4th. Although many of our staff will be out working that event, we want you to know that these offices will be closed that day. Additionally, Rumpke service will be delayed one day beginning July 4th. So Friday, July 4th service will be moved to Saturday. We always encourage people to place their recyclables and their trash at the curb the night before. So if you're moved to July 5th, please put it out there on July 4th. Either before you go to the fireworks or on your way home. And then we pride ourselves in having exceptionally clean and accessible parks, safe parks. And so many of us will be volunteering on July 5th, starting at 8 a.m. to clean up after the Go Forth celebration. And so we encourage anybody who's interested in volunteering to come help the park's maintenance team restore Delco Park to its pre-July 4th conditions by collecting litter. We'll be doing that with volunteers. Bring gloves, buckets, grabbers. It'll take place rain or shine. Water and snacks will be provided, and we'll be meeting in the parking lot between the shelters and the public restrooms as we try to make sure that Delco's ready for all its normal users after a huge celebration. Your Honor, that's all I have this evening, and I appreciate the opportunity to give you that community update.
Okay, thank you. For those of you that are still here, Thanks for hanging in there with us, because now is the time. If you'd like to come speak before our city council, please come down to the podium. Each speaker has a 5-minute limit. You're asked to state your name and your address, and I'm asking, is there anyone that would like to speak to city council out there? You guys, I admire you for sitting through. This has been a long meeting, so thank you for coming and out this evening. So we'll switch gears to our council reports. Mr. Sullivan.
All right. Several meetings ago, we had a proclamation for Maddie Westbelt. She's a Fairmont High School grad. She played basketball at Notre Dame and was a first-round pick by the Chicago Sky, I believe, in the WNBA. And at that meeting, we talked about Catherine Westbelt was also selected by Phoenix Mercury. And we had talked on that day about on June 21st that they would be playing each other in Chicago. So that happened, and it was televised. It was on ABC, so I watched it. Phoenix won 107-86, but a couple times they commented on both Kettering girls being on the court at the same time, which was kind of cool. They had never played against each other before, their mom told us, so that was the first time that happened. So it was pretty neat, you know, Kettering in the national spotlight there for the WNBA on the 21st. Also, it's been a while since our last meeting, and since then, Fairmont High School has had a state champion, which is a big deal. Division I state champ Logan Wilkins in track and field. He did the 110 hurdles. Don't quote me on this number, but I believe between individual and team sports, Fairmont and its great history, that's with East, West, Old Fairmont, everything, only has 23, sorry, I looked at you, Bob, only 23 state champions. So it is a big deal that Logan brought back a state championship for Kettering. So really proud of him. Sometimes track and field gets swept under the rug because it happens, the season ends in the summer, so we can't really celebrate him like we do every other season sport. But I wanted to give him a shout out because it's a big deal. So that's the sports report from me. That's it.
That's all.
Enjoyed being at Spasnock last week and then Juneteenth the night after, and just want to commend the Sister Cities group for doing such a great night that night, even though it got rained out again really badly this time. And Angela Rahman has put together some great community events like Juneteenth with her team here at the city and BCR, and I just want to give them a shout out as well. Thrilled with the new housing development on the agenda. It's fantastic how much housing that Kettering has been able to add since I've been here, though there's so many challenges in bringing that together, and it's just a great addition, and so really thrilled that went through. You know, we have such a great city, winning awards in several of our departments, wonderful place to live, so many people want to be here, and let's just hope and pray we get to keep it after this legislation is decided on at the state tonight regarding our financial ability to sustain it. So let's hope they leave that to the policymakers locally. That's it for me.
Great. Mr. Scott.
Clarification for Mr. Sullivan. In spite of my age, it was not the old Fairmont, it was Fairmont West. Okay, just for clarification. As already been mentioned, you know, summertime, a lot of festivals, so we had the block party on June 4th, which went over well. We gave out our ice cream. I had the privilege on June 6th to attend the Modern College of Design's reveal of all their students, and I must confess I'd never been to the Modern School before. The work and the talent that those students put forth is stupendous. And it's a hidden gem in our city that most people don't even know exists. So I was so impressed with the skill level of some of those students as they get ready to enter the world, work world of their new profession. And then on June 13th, the annual Dorwood Optimus Fishing Derby was held. We have a lot of Dorwood members here within the city and on council. We had over 330 kids fishing. Went well, except for the last 15 minutes when we had a downpour. But the Optimists do a great service for the kids of this community, and I would also ask anyone who's watching, we have our Kids Day in the Park coming up in August. That's another very large event put on by the Optimist. Thank you.
Settle.
Just want to echo Bob's comments about the Modern College. As a former faculty member there, sitting next to current faculty member Shane Sullivan, we've spent time with the students and have seen that work, get to work with those kids, and it is impressive. I was at Reveal, many of the staff were there that day. It's often forgotten that there's this institution of higher learning right in the middle of our city that's producing some top-notch professionals in their industry. I also just, as a member of BCR, want to echo Jill's comments about the success of Juneteenth and the ability for Angela Rahman and the BCR, the Board of Community Relations, to bring Oakwood and Centerville and other suburban communities together to produce a shared event. And that's grown every year in its 3 years, and we had really great weather this year and had a great turnout, and it's just really an awesome celebration that sort of has just grown over time that people are looking forward to. And that really goes to the credit of Angela's direction and leadership with BCR. Finally, on the topic of BCR, we're in the midst of taking nominations for Good Neighbor Awards. This is one of our newer city awards, and it's a chance for folks in the community to recognize a neighbor for being a great neighbor. If there's somebody on your street who does just a great job of taking care of folks or have gone above and beyond service as a great neighbor, we'd love to hear about that. And those nominations are available on the website. If you just go to ketteringohio.org, type in Good Neighbor, that form's there, and then in August we get to recognize those folks in our community that are making a difference in their neighborhood. So fantastic stories about people just going above and beyond, which makes Kettering a great place to call home. So if you have a neighbor that is doing something on your street that you just want to recognize them, those nominations are up and we're taking throughout the summer. So we look forward to that at the end of the summer, and that's all I have tonight.
Excellent. We are a busy city. I'll say that we are a very busy city. We have Kids Fest coming up. There's constantly there's summer feeding program going on at our parks, going on at Greenmont School. I did wear my 4th of July outfit because we're not going to be meeting again until the 4th of July. A lot of things in our city for our citizens, and so I would encourage everyone to get out and participate because they're free. And we have block parties coming up with our hot dogs with the schools in the next 3 months. Lots of opportunities for food, fellowship, and fun. So I don't want to hear anybody being bored in Kettering, Ohio. Last public service announcement, though, I will just plead our community to clean up after themselves. It would be so awesome for that next day cleanup to take an hour instead of 2 or 3 hours. We owe it to ourselves to clean up after ourselves. So, being there no other business to come before City Council, our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting will be July the 8th, and this meeting is adjourned.